If I had a nickel for every time I heard the phrase, "you need quick draw," I'd quit my job and retire tomorrow. Felwinter's is no longer sunset, so a lot of people have a shotgun with quick draw. But what if you want to run Igneous Hammer? Maybe you want to run the Bottom Dollar or the Energy Primary alongside maybe the Astral Horizon, but you don't have quick draw. Are you just automatically SOL? Well, I ran through nearly 50 dexterity tests frame by frame, finding some pretty interesting results, and wanted to share that with you today. You see, the quick draw perk speeds up 3 specific actions, and we're going to see how close we can emulate it if we don't have it. But first, let's explain what those 3 actions are. Putting away your current weapon, otherwise known as the stow speed, pulling out the next weapon, otherwise known as ready speed, and then aiming down sights. We'll call these A, B, and C. For section C, you can use targeting mods like sniper rifle targeting, shotgun targeting, and that'll effectively speed up the time that it takes to aim down sights, in addition to adding that base 10 aim assist. They're not worth stacking due to the diminishing returns, but I've actually covered this at length in its own video about a year ago, so I'm just going to put that link in the description, and the rest of today is all about swap speed, so sections A and B. You might say, Castle, I already have a Felwinter's, I'm good. But other guns like Igneous Hammer are taking the throne for best primary, and not everyone has a quick draw kinetic, or maybe you like the Chaperone, for example. Plus, I swear a nerf is coming to Felwinter someday, and it's only a matter of time. Just to demonstrate how often or drastic Bungie can change their mind on something, they actually used to have the Astral Horizon dropping with quick draw. Then eventually sunsetting was coming around the corner and every version was about to be useless. So they actually launched a new Adept version of the Astral for people to chase and sort of buy another year out of it, plus the whole, well, it's Adept, cool. They had this up for 1 weekend back in December, and after only 1 chance to try and get that quick draw Adept version, they took it out and replaced it with the newer version not having quick draw in the perk pool. This means there's technically 4 versions out there. There's the old one with quick draw, the old Adept one with quick draw that was available for 1 weekend, the current non-Adept one without quick draw, and then the current Adept one without quick draw. Totally asinine to me, but let's get back on topic, beginning with clarifying what quick draw does. The myth: quick draw maxes out your handling. The truth: quick draw maxes out your weapon handling stat. I probably sound pretentious saying that, but it can really help to know the difference, and here are 2 examples. The shotgun on the left is a 55 handling quick draw roll, and it will pull out at the exact same speed as the 78 handling quick draw roll of that shotgun. Plain and simple, it just gives you 100 handling on that particular gun. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, it also increases the ADS speed of that weapon. Part 2 is the fact that because that perk is restricted to the weapon, other things can actually stack with it. For example, using dexterity armor mods or Dragon's Shadow, Ophidians, all of those will actually make the overall handling of the action you're doing with that weapon even faster. So now that we know exactly what quick draw does, is there a scenario where we can emulate it using different modifiers on our character? The answer is yes, we technically can, but there's a specific way I want to show you so that it makes a bit more sense. You see, a lot of people complain about 120 RPM hand cannons being sluggish. Even if their shotgun has quick draw, they still feel like something's off, and that's all because the stow speed is so slow on the primary that the overall time from when they hit their swap button until they can shoot their shotgun is lengthened. Having said that, the statement has always been it's mandatory on shotguns. No one's ever really gone and said you can't use a single primary unless it has quick draw. Now, because of that, let's figure out 2 numbers. Taking an Ace of Spades, which has 55 handling, and then a quick draw Felwinter's, I can confidently say a lot of players like to use this setup and feel perfectly fine. The time it takes from when you hit the swap key until you can shoot your Felwinter's, excluding any glitches, this video is not about that, it will take 32 frames, or 0.53 seconds. We also know that if someone was out there running an Ace and didn't have quick draw on their shotgun, they'd certainly be complaining about how it's complete dog water. Well, I measured that too, and in that setup, it's 47 frames or 0.78 seconds. Why does this matter? The reason is because it gives us a difference that people can definitely feel in game. In other words, cutting it down from 0.78 to 0.53 drops it by a quarter of a second, and people consider that an enormous change. We're going to remember this for later. Example 2 is a 42 handling roll steady hand with a quick draw Felwinter's again. This one clocks in at 35 frames or 0.58 seconds, which makes sense. It's a little bit slower than the Ace of Spades because it has a bit lower handling, but people also use this setup all the time and consider it good enough. So with both of these done, what's important to remember is a quarter of a second is considered a huge noticeable difference, and that 0.58 seconds to swap and shoot is considered good enough. Now I want to show you the results of the 50 tests that I did. In order to show the maximum impact that some of these mods can have, I decided to use a 19 handling 120 archetype and tested every combination of the following modifiers. Nothing at all. So no quick draw on my hand cannon, no quick draw on my shotgun, no dexterity mods, completely bare. Then I checked a single shotgun dexterity mod, double shotgun dexterity, single hand cannon dexterity, double hand cannon dexterity, a combination of those two in order to mitigate the diminishing returns. I tried that seasonal mod quick charge all on its own. Then I went and redid every single one of those tests with quick charge stacking. And that was my core 12 tests. I then went on and did all 12 of those in 4 different scenarios. Number 1 being what I just explained to you, where my primary and my shotgun have no quick draw perk on them. Number 2 is your typical situation where your shotgun has quick draw, but your primary doesn't. 3 is where your primary has quick draw, but your shotgun doesn't. 4 is both having quick draw. So let me show you the results and the important parts to take from them. All right, so this is scenario 1, and I'm going to walk you through what these columns are. The weapon column just shows that my primary and my shotgun did not have quick draw. And just a reminder that I'm using a 19 handling steady hand. The arms column shows you what I had for modifiers. So test number 1 had nothing, the next one had a single shotgun dexterity, and so on and so forth, running through those examples that I just talked about. The third column is when I didn't have or did have quick charge. Column A is for section A. It's from the moment I hit the swap button until the reticle of the next gun shows up. So that big circle on a shotgun. At base on a 19 handling steady hand, it took 27 frames to stow it away. Column B is the amount of frames from that moment until the shotgun will shoot. In this case, an equal 27 frames for a total of 54 frames or 0.9 seconds to swap weapons and shoot the gun. Now, if you remember, that's a lot slower than that nice, comfortable baseline of 0.58 seconds. So we basically know that yes, this is dog water. When you add a shotgun dexterity mod, it does not affect the hand cannon stowaway time. That makes sense. That stayed at 27 frames, but it does cut your shotgun time down by 5 frames or 0.08 seconds. I'm not going to run through every single row. This is just for you to use as your own reference, but I'll make a couple of points. Number 1 is the fact that this was done at 19 handling. If you suddenly do this with a really high handling weapon, like let's say the Thorn at 86 handling, a lot of the column A numbers go even smaller. Like for example, when you run the test with Thorn, it by default had like 18 stowaway time, which ultimately brings that total down quite a bit. And so running a shotgun dexterity perk with the Thorn all of a sudden gives you like 18 stowaway plus 22 ready speed on the shotgun for a much smaller total than all of these. The second takeaway that I'll give is that if you happen to run everything, so like the combination of a shotgun dexterity perk, a hand cannon dexterity perk, and quick charge, especially on a high handling gun, you can actually get somewhat close. You can get to 0.68 or even less. It was like 0.63, I think, on the Thorn, which is almost that 0.58 seconds, but not quite enough. So what my request to Bungie would be is to make these things matter a little bit more just because of how strong quick draw is. But let's look at the next scenario. Okay, scenario 2 was having a shotgun with quick draw. The total becomes 39 frames compared to the original 54. It cuts it down to 0.65, which makes sense. That's a quarter of a second faster than that original 0.9 here. So for this scenario, the main question is, well, should I be running some of these mods if I have quick draw on my shotgun? Well, yeah, in some cases you actually might want to. If you have an extremely low handling roll on your gun, you can make a pretty big difference if you use that primary dexterity. Doing it on this case brought that overall swap time from 0.65 down to 0.55, which is actually less than that baseline. Remember we said 0.58 seconds is what we consider good enough. So here, if your primary feels sluggish, feel free to toss a dexterity mod on it. Can absolutely be worth it, especially because some of them aren't that expensive. Going further than that though, and stacking lots like down here isn't really worth it in my opinion, as you can see from the numbers. All right, now on to scenario 3. This is where things get pretty interesting. Like in this case, I had a 19 handling steady hand, but I had quick draw on it, so it maxes it out to 100. Right out the gate, no mods at all, I'm at 0.67. I'm already slightly faster than if I were to use every single mod I can with no quick draw perk on either weapon. Why am I saying this? Because quick draw on your primary can really help you shoot your shotgun faster. Tossing one shotgun dexterity mod on brings you to that baseline of 0.58 that we talked about earlier. There's one major catch though. Remember how I said section C, the ADS time is greatly increased by quick draw? That's what pisses me off so much. I wish these dexterity mods also provided some benefit to your ADS speed on top of the fact that targeting mods do. Like, the perk does so much, it almost nullifies what a lot of these things do. So again, I really wish Bungie could make these things have a little bit more value. In any case, let's say you had a quick draw Igneous Hammer and a God Roll Astral, but it didn't have quick draw. You could technically emulate what it feels like if you run shotgun dexterity as well as shotgun targeting to simulate that ADS speed too. The last scenario is where I was truly blown away by how impactful it is when you have quick draw on both weapons. And I feel like that's a dangerous road because once you get used to that, it's kind of like Dragon's Shadow. You feel like you're slow no matter what without it. Quick draw on the hand cannon cut that stowaway time to 13 frames all the way from that 27 at the beginning. Quick draw on the shotgun went down to 12 frames, again, all the way from that 27. A lot of these could be plus or minus 1 frame, so do keep that in mind. But anyways, the total timing is 25 frames, which is insane. And what's really worth pointing out is the fact that that timing of 0.42 is a lot less than that original scenario of 0.65 when I had quick draw on my shotgun. Remember how we said 0.25 is a big difference? Well, this is 0.23 shorter. The main thing is that the improvements coming from these mods are compressed when you have quick draw. In other words, when we have quick draw on our shotgun, the shotgun dexterity mods are totally compressed and they don't really do much, right? They went from 12 frames down to 10 and 9. That's not really much of a difference. But the hand cannon dexterity mods brought it from 27 down to 21 or 20. Conversely, when the hand cannon has quick draw, the shotgun ones can be worth it, but the hand cannon ones are compressed. Now, just for fun, I wanted to show the impact that Dragon's Shadow has on Hunter. With no quick draw on either the primary or the shotgun, no modifying perks at all, you can swap weapons and shoot your gun in 21 frames. That is faster than having quick draw on both weapons and maxing out every single mod at 22 frames. S tier exotic for sure. I slapped on double quick draw and all the modifiers just to see, and you can get it down to 20 frames. So it does show that there's a lot of compression going on there and not much benefit, but still kind of insane. For my Warlock mains, Ophidians don't really come close to Dragon's Shadow. Running that totally bare with no quick draw on either weapon gives you 43 frames to switch. Of course, that's better than the base 54, or in other words, 0.72 seconds compared to the 0.9 base, but still not as good as I thought it would be. So then I thought, okay, what if people have Ophidians, but they don't have quick draw on their shotgun and they land quick draw on their hand cannon? How nice would that be? Well, that ended up being 33 frames or 0.55 seconds, so just below that original baseline of 0.58 that we mentioned. And for fun, if you have quick draw on both weapons with all of the mods and Ophidians, you'll get it down to 23 frames compared to that Dragon's Shadow of 20. So not quite as good, but you can get close. For my Titan mains, I'm really sorry I didn't end up testing the Peacekeepers because it's limited to SMGs only, but it is extremely fast. I believe it's up there with Dragon's Shadow. Don't quote me on that though.